Hey everyone, Airball here, and welcome to another day in Best of 3 Standard on Arena. Today we are taking a look at what I think is an early contender for the best deck in the format right now, in the new Kamigawa format, and it's playing a lot of cards that I love, so I'm really excited to play it. So this deck is built around Hinata Dawncrowned, which is a 4-mana 4/4 flyer with trample. 1 in a Jeskai gets you a pretty powerful effect. Spells you cast cost 1 less to cast for each target, and spells your opponents cast cost 1 more for each target. And the upshot here is that if you play spells that have many targets, you can get a pretty big discount. And the main combo here is between Hinata and Magma Opus. So if you look at Magma Opus, it deals 4 damage divided as you choose among any number of targets. So that's up to 4. And then you tap 2 additional target permanents on top of that. Importantly, target different ones each time. If you target the same one twice, they only count as once. They only count as 1 for the purpose of Hinata. But if you do that, then you get a 6 mana discount on Magma Opus. So just for a blue and a red, you would get 4 damage everywhere, tap 2 things, create a 4/4, and draw 2 cards, which is obscene. We've seen this card go nuts in Historic combined with Mizzix Mastery, and it was busted even at sorcery speed for 4 mana. So getting to cast it at instant speed for 2 is just absolutely insane. So that's the idea. If you can play the Hinata if you play Hinata and have 4 mana untapped, you can almost immediately you can cast Magma Opus for free or for a significant discount almost right away. We're also playing other cards that ramp us well and have targets. So we have the Galvanic Iteration and Unexpected Windfall combo, because this deck really wants to have 8 mana, to just raw dog cast Magma Opus. But if you have the Hinata for 4 plus Magma Opus for 4 is also incredibly strong. Valorous Stance, pretty good. It's a 1 mana protection spell if you have Hinata in play, which is great. Also has some utility against opposing dragons. This is a good card to have in the mirror, where the only thing that matters is who casts Hinata, who has it stick in play, and who doesn't. Critically important in the mirror, actually, because your deck is designed to take advantage of Hinata by having spells that target many things. And that means if you're playing against Hinata, then the tax against you is significantly higher as well. So in the mirror, be patient, make sure that you're the one with the Hinata at the end of the day. And know that if you slam Hinata, there's a good chance that you will actually make the opponent's life difficult. So that should be your thought process in the mirror. Only 2 copies of Expressive Iteration, which is interesting, but there's not a whole lot of room if you want to be able to deal with the creature decks of the format. 4 copies of Abrade is interesting, having 4 copies of Abrade before having the 3rd and 4th copies of Expressive Iteration. But I think it's justified, because there are a lot of small creature decks running around with the Enchantress decks, and there are a lot of artifacts running around as well in the form of, like, Seeka's Chariot, and the 2 mana colorless vehicle that crews for 3 and lets you draw for 2 mana every turn. So being able to deal with that is pretty important. And obviously Shatterskull Smashing is also a pretty solid removal spell when you have Hinata in play. You have the 2 mana discount applies here as well. So basically you can, whatever you pay for X, that's the amount of damage that you're doing to creatures across the board. In the sideboard, we've got some pretty standard technology from previous formats. We've got 3 copies of Malevolent Hermit, which is great in the mirror. Pretty good at protecting your Hinata as well. You can cast the Malevolent Hermit on 2 or 3, and then have Hinata in play on a future turn with Malevolent Hermit backup. There's not nearly as much Spikefield Hazard to deal with Malevolent Hermit, so it's a pretty strong option. 4 copies of Smoldering Egg, which is pretty important for decks that have tons of removal. So I think that this is pretty strong in the black-white kind of matchups, where you need the opponent to... If the opponent removes your Hinata, then you're just kind of in rough shape. So having them spend their removal on Smoldering Egg is pretty powerful. It clears the way for your creatures down the line. And obviously just casting Magma Opus with a Smoldering Egg in play flips it immediately. There is a good amount of Enchantress and mono green, some Jund running around, so 3 copies of Burning Hands to deal with that. Cinderclasm to deal with the mono white that I haven't run into once yet. Heated Debate, important in the mirror. Again, Hinata is the only thing that matters in the mirror. If you have it in play, then you're winning. If you don't, then you're losing. And having an uncounterable answer to it is pretty important. And 2 copies of Goldspan Dragon are also pretty nice in the board white matchup. So again, in black-white, being able to rebuild after the opponent wipes your board is important. Also, Goldsman Dragon coming into play on 5, attacking for a treasure, and then you have your land drop next turn, ramping you into 8 mana from 5, is pretty powerful too, because 8 mana is where this deck wants to be. As I said, having Hinata and Magma Opus is pretty critical. Okay, so that's the deck. I'm really excited to play it. This is exactly my kind of play style. Let's jump into some games and see how the deck does. Okay, we're on the draw against an unknown opponent, but our hand is flexible. Negate's decent against the creature matchups. Against the control matchups, and Braid and Valorous Stance are decent against the creature matchups, and Jwari Disruption can hit a lot of the rest. It looks like we are up against a mirror. This deck seems to be pretty popular today. I think we are. In the mirror, the most important thing is to probably be the person who blinks last, which means we want to be hitting our land drops almost every single turn. Which means I'm inclined to play that one Jwari Disruption tapped. If the opponent plays Expressive Iteration here, I will be tempted to Jwari Disrupt it. It looks like that's not the plan. We hit another land drop, so we have the luxury of holding the Jwari Disruption for another turn. What are we worried about them playing next turn? They could play Hinata, which we will have the Jwari Disruption for. Negate does not answer that. Fading Hope also doesn't answer it super well. It is tax. It doesn't scry for us. I think I'm inclined to get... Yeah, let's get the Desert Beach in. The Smashing might be useful later if we get our own Hinata in play. So in these Hinata mirrors, what I've learned is that the deck does not function well against opposing Hinatas because you get taxed, so whoever has the Hinata on the battlefield is the one with a significant advantage. Expressive Iteration... We don't have a whole lot else going on, but Jwari Disruption is not going to reliably able to counter Hinata next turn. Neither's Negate. Alright, I think I'm going to negate this. We'll see what they do. Found another Jwari Disruption. Okay. So we have Jwari Disruption plus Valorous Stance. Although, if the Hinata lands, then we will not have enough mana to do that because the Valorous Stance and the Jwari Disruption both get taxed by that because they both target things. So Fading Hope will have to pull a lot of weight. Yep. We're just playing a land and saying go now. The Jwari Disruptions, I think, are still pretty valuable. But we have a very reactive hand. So we're basically waiting for our opponent to do something. I think we let this touch the board. They don't have a realistic Magma Opus yet. So we'll let this touch the board and then Fading Hope it back. Fading Hope obviously pretty poor in the matchup. Wow. So they're saying they have like double negate. Okay, so if they're willing to trade negate 1 for 1 with my Fading Hope, I think that's actually pretty good for me. I think I'm going to Fading Hope again. And if they're telling me that they have another one, then I would be able to Valorous Stance it. Okay. Well, we hit land, which is nice. They're probably just going to rejam the Sonata. We are going to want to Valorous Stance it. That will cost 3. They can counter that for 1. And Jwari Disruption will be no good at that point. So, although I guess Jwari Disruption always gets countered for 1. We can Jwari Valorous Stance. I guess. Costs 3 cards to deal with the Sonata, and then they're threatening Magma Opus just naturally the following turn. Well, we'll do 1, see how they react. They'll probably pay. Yeah. I guess we're doing this. I don't like it. They have another Hinata. This feels terrible. And now we have to untap and then cast the Valorous Stance. And we are down a boatload of cards. The Fading Hopes and the Temporary Disruptions did not get full value, that's for sure. Also have to be concerned about opposing lobsters. The decks that I've been playing against in these mirror matches, they tend to be pretty teched against the mirror because I don't think our targets are getting any better than that. Because this deck is all that anyone's playing right now. It is a super powerful thing. Makes me want to play like mono green, realistically. Yeah, we're getting Magma Opus all hell here. Yeah. So that resolves, and I mean, as draws go, that's one of the better ones. But we don't have anything to discard to it? Alright. You got me. Our hand did not line up super well against the mirror. And honestly, at this point, with how many people are playing this deck on the ladder, I should probably be mulliganing really aggressively for, anti-mirror cards. We'll bring in the Malevolent Hermits, Goldspan Dragon, Stroke seems good. The Fading Hopes are really bad. The Braids are really bad. We need 2 more cards. Heated Debate actually seems pretty important. Uncounterable answer to Hinata. So another question, I guess, is how do we feel about Smoldering Egg? Like... Oh, I thought I took out all the Fading Hopes. Yeah, I think I want 2. I also want to find some way to get another Goldspan Dragon in. Maybe I'm supposed to cut an Unexpected Windfall just because they're so bad. If they get countered. Yeah, I definitely want to keep the removal spells because, again, whoever sticks the Hinata is the player who's most likely to win. So let's do this. Pretty good opening hand. So... the Sundown Pass tapped. And we're just going to jam the Hermit on 2, I think. This card can be a significant headache for them. So we start with an attack. Okay. I really feel like our Expressive Iteration is going to get Force Spiked if we play it. So... I'll just be a little patient. Okay, now I'll cast it. Interesting. All of these seem pretty good, honestly. But we do not hit land. And nothing is going to be able to get played this turn. So opponent jam, like the biggest threat is that the opponent jams Hinata next turn, maybe? I mean, they could also play like Unexpected Windfall while we're tapped out. That's not the end of the world if we have a Stroke in hand. So I think that's the play. I think we're going to take Stroke into hand. Put back the Valorous Stance, and we're going to play the Hermit this turn. I don't think they have anything that I'm super scared of. And I do want to get full value off of the Expressive Iteration. Yeah, they have Hinata, but this is okay. We can play our own. It doesn't seem ideal. I think I like... Yeah, this is more or less forced. We'll do this, and we'll hold up Disdainful Stroke. And... does it matter what land we play? Both of these can be played on white. I think in general I want more blue. So we'll play this on blue, and then we'll have... we'll probably play the Needleverge Pathway on white the following turn. I think I'm willing to stroke that, right? Right. And now we have Hinata and double Hermit activation up. Is there any way to cast Magma Opus this turn? We would need 6 targets. I suppose we can. But we lose a lot of value. I think I'm fine just saying go. They have their own Hinata, so if they play... If Hinata resolves, then we won't be able to cast the Magma Opus. So we would need 6 targets. We would need to tap 2 lands and hit everything on the board, which would mean killing one of our own Hermits. That's unappealing. Our own Goldspan Dragon. That's not bad, right? I think we play this, and we try to force him to jump. Or force him to trade. Nice. Okay, so opponent got kind of impatient there, which I think is how we won. They just sort of slammed their stuff into our answers, and luckily we had them. Valorous Stance and Disdainful Stroke were pretty good at dealing with their big creatures. I think I like this sideboarding. We want to change anything for being on the draw versus being on the play. Smoldering Egg seems pretty mopey on the draw. I just don't see how we're ever going to safely get it down around like 4 spikes in the early game. I don't think I ever really want to tap mana on my turn. So I think I am actually inclined to cut a Smoldering Egg to bring the Windfall back, just to have more actions I can take on their turn. It does play nicely with Galvanic Iteration. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. I think I'll do this. Okay, well, we found the Smoldering Egg. Opponent mulliganed, which makes me a little more encouraged that the Smoldering Egg will resolve. We also have the Wombo combo. We'll keep this. There is some danger here, of course. Delver. Did not expect Delver. Okay. Yeah. Delver does not flip, importantly. We don't have a whole lot of great answers to Delver, realistically. We're just going to jam the Smoldering Egg here, I think. Nice. No Force Spike. So Smoldering Egg, if it does eventually flip, will be an answer to Delver. Delver does not flip. Expressive Iteration. Okay. So life is good. We're going to be able to jam the Celestis here, if nothing else. They find another Delver. Can they play it? They can. Find Magma Opus. Yeah, I mean, if they play Hinata, then the Magma Opus feels really bad. But I don't think there's another solution here. I think this is kind of what we have to do. If these both flip here, then we're in trouble. Once again, it doesn't flip. So they've been drawing a lot of non-spells here. I suppose they had the Expressive Iteration. They could have taken a spell to hand. We've definitely been very fortunate. We haven't had a great answer to these yet. Dragon's Fire. Can that Dragon's Fire kill a Smoldering Egg? Yes. They have a Goldspan Dragon. Okay. So they spent the Dragon's Fire on the Smoldering Egg there. They mulliganed. I think it's unlikely that they'll have multiples. So I think we play Hinata here. If we untap with it, then we have Magma Opus available. If we don't, then we have Galvanic Iteration plus Windfall. And it's also a blocker if the Delvers flip. Whip again. Alright. Goldspan Dragon. Does it attack? It does. Do they have a removal spell? They do not. Okay. So, we have options. This could be a hell of a turn. Okay, so we can Galvanic Iteration plus Windfall. That costs 6 mana, gets us 4 back. Can we Galvanic Iteration plus Opus here, is the question. How much can we make Opus cost? It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 targets. We can make it cost 2, so we can Galvanic Iteration. Wow. We can Galvanic Iteration plus Opus hold up Valorous Stance. That is sweet. If they have a counter spell, we are very sad. I suppose. This is tricky for sure. I also don't want to target the Goldspan Dragon for 1 with the Magma Opus. Let's start with this. Oh, actually, any counterspell they have won't work because we have an Hinata in play. Okay, great. Let's do this. Galvanic Iteration. Magma Opus. Target, target, target. 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 And this one will just go upstairs. Nice. Okay, yeah, that one felt pretty smooth. I do feel like we are not super well teched for game 1, given that this deck is all anyone seems to be playing, but we can pull it around. We can pull it out when we bring in the right sideboard cards. These Delvers do not seem super great, but again, if they had flipped at any point earlier in the match, then we would have been in serious trouble. Luckily, they didn't, and they were just 1/1s. But okay, cool. On to the next one. Okay, on the draw. Can't keep that. Can't keep that. Great start. At least the opponent is also mulliganing, so it's not the end of the world. Tough start. Oh, come on now. This is a 5-card hand. Yeah, like, we can draw land, we can cycle Magma Opus for mana. And we're really just not getting anywhere. Like, 5-card hand using Magma Opus for mana seems terrible. I think we've gone to 4. Alright. Keep. Bottom. 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 Alright. 4-card hand does not seem ideal here. Yeah, I think holding up Fading Hope against the green-red deck is a good idea. It will let us scry to something. Draw Disruption... Okay. I mean, Draw Disruption is a 1-for-1. We're not really thrilled to be taking 1-for-1s here. Maybe I'm just supposed to play it as a land. I suppose we have the ability to make that decision next turn. Naya. Okay. Kami of Transience. 2/2 trample for 2. When you cast an enchantment spell, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Okay, so Fading Hope is just going to be absolute gas. Beginning of at each end step, if an enchantment was put into your graveyard from the battlefield this turn, you may return it from the graveyard to your hand. Sure. Given that this is an Enchantress deck, Fading Hope is at a premium. I think I am just going to untap. Sure. They could have something like Snakes can be able to punish me, but opponent also mulligan. Their hand can't be too perfect. And I think we do need to make this some kind of... Wow. Runes. Rune of Speed. Okay. I mean, that will draw a card if it comes into play. Again, Fading Hope just seems like nuts. Like the nut against them, so we will do this, but... Alright, cool. Has Dry Disruption's time come to be played as a land? I think so. Opponent's deck does, like, mulligan very well, unfortunately, and ours does not. Braid is reasonable. I think I do want Kami of Transients to die. So we'll target it with a Braid, I think. If they attack for 2, we'll just be patient. Wedding announcement. Alright, well that's getting negated for sure. And the question now is, do we kill this with a Braid? I think the answer is not yet. Okay. Now I will. And because enchantment was not put into the graveyard from the battlefield this turn, it's not going to come back. And now we're kind of at the mercy of the top of our libraries, but so is the opponent for now. Runeforge Champion is an excellent draw. Don't really want... Oh my god. Yeah. Do we bounce the champion? Probably not. It gives him another rune. Do we bounce this 1/1? Probably not. We want them to commit to a creature and then Fading Hope it. But the problem is these runes just replace themselves. Ugh. That's pretty good. So we can kill the champion. We need to make X equal 4, so we need to, like, totally tap out to do this, but I think that's worth it. Actually, we can probably just make X equal 3 and have Fading Hope available. That seems better. The fact that we're in this game at all on a Mulda 4 is remarkable. Obviously, we don't want to bounce this thing. They get to replay it as a as the enchantment side again. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so I think the plan is going to be to bounce this and try to draw Magma Opus. Another Fading Hope is not, like, the worst, but they just get to replay everything at this point, so I think at this point it's kind of bad. We're going to take 6, and we just need to find, like, Hinata, Magma Opus, that kind of stuff. Or land. I think we're probably super dead. I guess there's some chance that we draw, like, Valorous Stance, Hinata. I want to play both. Yeah, I don't think we have a way back from this, unfortunately. We would need land plus Magma Opus, and that's just not going to happen. So, couldn't quite get there on the multi-4. Not all that surprising. Not really a great game. You are very late, and we're dead. So, that's fine. Off to game 2. So, like, Fading Hope seemed good against them, but, like, at the same time, all of their enchantments were runes which replaced themselves, so it's not like a traditional Auras deck. Cinderclasm seems great. Burning Hand seems good. A lot of these are 2/2s. Burning Hands does 6 to them. Yeah, we definitely want the Burning Hands. Valorous Stance. They're not really going to be killing our stuff. And we brought in a bunch of like better suited removals, so I think this is fine. Negate seems pretty mopey. Like, they have Wedding Festivity. We saw Wedding Announcement. We saw 2 copies of it, but like everything else is runes. I don't really want to be negating their runes. That just seems kind of bad. And what? I do think I want the Smoldering Eggs. Maybe not all of them. Yeah. Maybe something like this. We need one more card. Yeah, okay. We'll give this a try. I do want a proactive plan. Like ramping into Magma Opus. I don't want to have to wait till turn 8 against an aggressive deck to be able to cast it. And the Smoldering Eggs can buy me a few extra turns. We found Magma Opus. We have Hinata, so this is the Wombo combo. We'll keep this for sure. And we probably just want all our land drops here. I won't play the Jwari Disruption tapped on 1, of course. But I may play it tapped on a future turn. I'm not going to be married to casting it for value when we have this combo in hand. Okay, well now I think I'm much more inclined to do it. We are missing white, irritatingly. All this land in hand, no white mana. So we do actually need some help off the top. And obviously if we cycle the Magma Opus for the treasure to cast Hinata, then we don't have the Magma Opus anymore, so... Looking for like a Plains or something like that. Opponent pulled it off. That's not bad. I do want to keep this. This land is pretty good against their Boggle creatures. I do want another red mana in play, so let's go ahead and do this. Unexpected Windfall, a pretty good draw, of course. It will give us the white that we need to get Hinata down, and then hopefully we won't need white for the rest of the game. Yeah, that's getting Jwari Disrupted. That we will not tolerate. Another Hinata is probably what we're going to pitch to the Windfall, so that's fine. Yeah, we'll play this on blue. I still want to hold this, just in case. Obviously, I would have loved to be able to slam Hinata there. That is not a play that they like to have to make. Naya Runes. I did try this deck on release, and I found that it wasn't anything super special. Although Hinata just seems like an absolute beating, because it does tax all of these. Alright, so there's our white. We could not Magma Opus this turn. Yeah, not quite. But that's fine. I enjoy paying 3 for all your runes. Okay, so... Okay. Now that we have 2 Magma Opuses, yeah, I think I do want to cast this. We will target... We need to make it cost 3. So I'll target here, 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 here. Actually, if I'm willing to take 1, I get to keep my treasure. Let's do that. Here, 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 and here. Oh, actually, because I targeted this twice, it doesn't count. That sucks. So I took 1 for no reason here. Wow. That's fine. Tamiyo's safekeeping, really. Just seems like much worse than Snakeskin Veil. I'm not sure. In any case, yeah. And we have Magma Opus for a boatload. Seems good to me. Three-mana rune, love it. And even in the case where they have another Tamiyo safekeeping, yeah, okay, this is over. So we'll do 4 damage upstairs. We need a grand total of 2 targets, so this is fine. We'll tap that, and we'll tap that. Sure, why not? Cool. So we got there. On to game 3. That does feel like how the game is supposed to go. Hinata is just such an absolute beating against them. Smoldering Egg not as good as it looked initially, but I still think it's fine. I think this is okay. On the draw, maybe a Braid is not as good. Oh well, we'll keep doing this. Okay, on the draw with double Smoldering Egg, Magma Opus, and seems pretty good. If we ever get to cast the Magma Opus, then I think we probably win the game. Any untapped land lets us play the Celestis, which lets us cast Windfall, which hopefully finds us Hinata, which lets us cast Opus. That's great. We love that. Expressive Iteration, another very good draw. It'll let us find the land, almost certainly. Celestis will create the white source that we need, so I think I'm just going to play this on red, especially because it lets us cast the Iteration. Yeah. Let's get the egg in play. Wedding announcement. Yeah, sure, this is fine. We do have to hit land off this Iteration. And we do. Cinderclasm going to be pretty good against these 1/1 tokens, but realistically, I think I just want the land. I don't think these tokens are going to cause me serious trouble. Yeah. So we'll take the pathway to hand, put the Cinderclasm back, and just exile the Sundown Pass, and your go. And then next turn we'll be able to Celestis plus a Braid. If we want. We can also Celestis plus Smoldering Egg. We have a lot of really good options. An opponent hasn't put much pressure on the board. That's an interesting attack. I guess they lose nothing by doing it. Okay. So I think if the Kami dies, then there's not a significant threat anymore. And I do want to kill it before it outpaces the Abrade, so the play here is probably just going to be Celestis plus Abrade. And I don't want to risk them untapping with, like, Tamiyo's safekeeping or something. We saw that they had that, so we'll just kill this now while they're tapped out. It's going to flip. But if we draw untapped land, we'll have Smoldering Egg plus Unexpected Windfall. Unexpected Windfall gets us the 2 treasures, which will ramp us with any untapped land into Magma Opus the following turn, and I think we just get there from there. Let's see, do they attack with both here to try to draw the card, or do they want the extra 1/1? We saw Kazul's Cliffs, Kazul's Fury, so we do have to be a little wary of that. Okay, so we did not find the, we didn't find the untapped land. However, we can Unexpected Windfall away one of these Smoldering Eggs, which I think is more than fine. If we find untapped land, then we get to Abrade and kill a bunch of stuff. Yeah, I think I'm down for that. We did find the untapped land. Life is good. Yeah. They are once again tapped out of green, so we'll take the opportunity to kill this, kill that, and the other thing. I think I'm just going to swing. Yeah, they can replay that, that's true. Because this is an enchantment that we killed. So, maybe I should have waited for the end step to trigger so they wouldn't get it back until their end step. That would have been smarter. Okay. Rune of Speed. So they're going to hit us for quite a lot. Okay, so we have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 mana. We can Opus. I am a little concerned about Tamiyo's safekeeping. If they have it, then this will get in for a lot. It's probably just Opus on their upkeep to kill this thing. It's not flashy, but it's the least likely thing for us. It makes it unlikely for us to die. And also, Unexpected Windfall, Iteration, that's 2 spells. They take 4, or they go to 12, 8. Yeah, not good enough. Target this to try to kill it. It will come back on their end step. Sure. Also tap it again. And tap this. Just in case they find... Actually, if they have an answer to this, then I don't want to waste that. Yeah, okay. So we'll target here. Here. Tap here. Tap here. Target here. They're tapping their green, yeah, so they do have the safekeeping, which is why we played the way that we did. So it's possible, I suppose, that they have Kazel's Fury here. This does trample as well. It's pretty scary. Can we do 10 to them? I think we can kill them like this. I'm just going to take the minimum amount of damage I can, while keeping the dragon around. Alright. So I think it's actually the Magma Opus that we discard, because I think we can just kill them if we go off with enough cheap spells. Alright, so let's start with Fading Hope. Upstairs. Cool. And Fading Hope. Upstairs. And Expressive Iteration. Upstairs. And Fading Hope to hand. Exile Hinata. To tax their runes. And do we attack? Probably. So, if they have this thing, plus Rune of Speed, plus Tamiyo Safekeeping. Nice. We have to pump our dragon. Goldspan Dragon's also quite good. And we'll just swing up. Cool, that was a little scary. You have something? Sure. They were very dead anyway. But yeah. Cool. So definitely sketchy game one with the Multifor. Hinata does serious work when we found him or her. Actually, I have no idea. Making these runes cost way too much. I found this deck to be kind of, frankly, unplayable. But Bone definitely made me sweat. Cool. On to the next one. Okay, on the draw with a reasonable opening hand. If we're up against creatures, we're pretty happy. If we're up against control, then this gets significantly harder. Let's see. Black-white. Okay. Another Fading Hope. What sort of stuff do we want to be able to Fading Hope later? I think I want to disable their nut draw at least a little bit, and this lets us scry as well. I'm going to send this back now before they can sacrifice it. And I think I will bottom land aggressively here. We do have the Hinata Magma Opus combos. Oh, wow. Okay. I'm just going to send that back to hand again. Given that. Yeah, negate also seems pretty good realistically. And we will play this on red. They kept a one-lander with the Shambling Gas, so presumably they have Deadly Dispute. Otherwise, I never would have bounced that again. Okay. So we'll hold this negate for their Deadly Disputes. Another Shambling Gas is whatever. And an eye twitch is whatever. Okay. Unexpected Windfall's pretty good. So let's play this on blue. I think the intention here is going to be to Unexpected Windfall pitching the Abrade if they don't do anything. If they don't do anything negatable. And holding the negate for, like, Lolth is not terrible either. And this way we'll have negate available to protect the Hinata as well. We can even wrath their board with Magma Opus here, but I don't think it's necessary, and it opens the door to Lolth, so I think we just say go. Magma Opus is coming. Bolt in. Okay. Rite of Oblivion. Negate that. They'll go to the graveyard, they'll be able to do it again, but not this turn. Alright, untap. Okay, so Magma Opus seems bustedly strong here. Dwari Disruption also pretty good because they're going to have to pay 5 for the right. So I think I'm going to start with an... Actually, am I going to attack? It lets them fetch Environmental Sciences, but if they block them, we're still getting through for the 3 trample. This is fine. And I think Shadow Skull Smashing might be useful in the future. Dwari Disruption I think might be useful now. So let's just go ahead and play this. I think I want to play it on white. And say go. Mm-hmm. So now they can't target Hinata with right. They don't have enough mana. They may have just realized that. Wedding announcement. Yeah, wedding announcement works. So we'll let them create their 1/1. Magma Opus. Target, target, target. Target, target. Yeah, and this is an utter beating. Ooh, we even drew Unexpected Windfall. That's sick. We're just going to go ahead and cast that now. Dwari Disruption, I think, at this point has outlived its usefulness. Keep the Fading Hope instead to bounce, like, tokens created by Lolth if they do resolve it. We have Shadow Skull Smashing to deal with Lolth as well. And we have, kind of run out of gas, actually. We are attacking for 8, so all is not lost. And we will say go. And it seems unlikely they'll be able to put enough crap in the air to survive. We can Fading Hope our own Hinata in response to, say, this. We can Fading Hope our 4/4, I suppose. It lets us scry and prevents the life gain. But nah. We can bounce the 1/1. Yeah, that seems better. Galvanic Iteration right now is no good. That is good. And we can just say go, I think. Soren. Okay. They no longer have enough mana for Rite of Oblivion.
Under my watch, neither vampire nor human.
And a wedding announcement, and I think you are dead. Alright, so we have 7 mana, so any one target is going to be enough. So upstairs, submit, tap, tap. That's good enough. Yeah, cool. One more. Alright, so against black-white stuff, Disdainful Stroke seems pretty good because the only threat that they realistically have against us is Lolth. I don't feel like Fading Hope is great, even though we saw its power when they kept the one-lander and keeping the Shambling Ghast out of play. Braid doesn't seem great against like the wedding announcements. We have seen some decks today playing the vehicle, like the colorless vehicle, which would be better. I think I want haste in the form of Goldspan Dragon to deal with board wipes. Smoldering Egg seems reasonable. How do I feel about Malevolent Hermit? All of their important stuff is non-creature. So the Hermit actually is not too bad, and it's also good in grinding matchups to be able to play it in the air. It's not awful. I think I don't want any Abrades. So we need 3 more cards. Cinderclasm. Smoldering Egg doesn't feel super great. Yeah, maybe it's Hermit, Cinderclasm? Something like this? Yeah. Yeah, sure. Let's do this. So generally, in the battle between control decks, the person running blue is massively favored because you have access to permission and they don't. They have access to hand disruption like Duress, but that doesn't do as well against top decks as the permission spells do. So we get control, ideally, over what resolves and what doesn't this game, unless, you know, they just take our hand and we don't have anything. Which makes us less inclined to mulligan, and makes us much more inclined to keep hands that include expressive iteration. Yeah. Just play this tapped and say go. Professor of Symbology, sure. Environmental Sciences, you got it. And I think I do want to represent Jwari Disruption, make their play a little awkward. Sure. I still don't want to cast the Expressive Iteration this turn. Again, like, opponent mulliganed, and their best strategy for dealing with us is discard spells, so I do want to get the maximum value out of everything that I can. This Professor has, like, somewhat mitigated their mulligan. Night Twitch is pretty good. We will lead with Expressive Iteration, I suppose. So, like, we could run headlong at the Sorin here. If we do, how do we feel about that? But if we don't cast the Expressive Iteration now, when are we casting it? It's a little tricky. If we wait, we can cast it next turn and have counter magic available in the form of Jwari Disruption or Stroke. We're not under a whole lot of pressure, honestly. The worst case is they add some more creatures to the board. Okay. Sure. I've talked myself into it. I don't want to allow them to resolve Sorin. Or that. Yeah, that's fine. Now we can Expressive Iteration, get untapped land into play, and hold up Stroke. We do need to hit untapped land off the iteration to find maximum value, but we do. We do. It's easy. Valorous Stance to hand. Hinata can go back in the deck, and we will exile Deserted Beach. And Seigo with Disdainful Stroke up. Eye Twitch is annoying, but fine. Alright. So we'll play this on blue, I suppose, and I'm just going to jam the dragon, I think. They don't have mana open for a Soul Shatter anymore, so I think we just want to go on the offensive here. We do have 2 mana available, again, to either protect the dragon with Valorous Stance, or to stroke a Lulth. If they power up the Hive, that's probably the worst case scenario. If they target the dragon with Reduced to Memory, then obviously we're thrilled. Down to 9. Rite of Oblivion. We will resolve that. This is an exile, right? Yeah, so Valorous Stance doesn't actually save it. Nor does Jwari Disruption, because they can pay. Irritating. Irritating for sure. Okay. Dragon's dead. Would have liked one of those Fading Hopes. Still not so bad. We get to cast Hinata here. Again, hold up counter magic. The counters are even cheaper than they otherwise would have been. So they can power up the Hive and attack, but that doesn't feel like it's good enough. So this is going to cost 4. And we get to create a 3/2. Kind of think I'm down to Galvanic Iteration plus Jwari. Yeah. I want Hinata to stick around. They do have a lot of answers. This Rite of Oblivion is also going to be a problem next turn. Jeez. We are not drawing gas. Excuse me. Can we realistically block? I mean, they're going to cast Rite to kill Hinata next turn, right? And there's not much we can do about it. So I guess we're attacking. If they power up the Hive and attack, they get in for 5. Yeah. I suppose they could, like, Introduction to Prophecy? No, that's not. That's the other one. I was thinking Expanded Anatomy is the one that puts counters on things. That's irritating. Yeah, that's annoying, for sure. I guess we let it resolve. Again, they don't have the mana anymore to write on Hinata unless they have another one in hand. They took the Disdainful Stroke, you know, which is Danger Will Robinson territory, because that probably means they have like a 5-mana Planeswalker or something. They do have another write in hand. Irritating. We found Smoldering Egg, though. It is going to get Rite of Oblivion again if they can find a permanent, but right now they don't have one. Okay, so there was no Lolth here. top, though. That's scary. And eye twitch. Yeah. I feel like Valor's Stance is not doing anything here anymore. So I kind of just want to flip this egg. Yeah, let's just get as many counters on this egg as we possibly can. Hinata is, like, fine, I guess. This egg's gonna die. There's... Tough. We'll play Hinata, at least tax the effect again. We are running on empty. I've run into this problem a lot so far today, where you just end up in this situation where you have a decent board, but nothing to do with it. This is ambitious.
Consider yourself fortunate, Arthur. You.
Maybe it's fine. We can't realistically attack super well. We would love to find, like, Magma Opus off the top. I'm just going to flip the egg now. Top decks are reasonably good. This is really frustrating. If we attack out, we're just dead. More or less on the crackback. Are we? Like, they power up the hive. We have a smoldering egg in play. We take 3/6. No, we're not. We have the Galvanic Iteration to trigger off of the dragon. Okay, Soren's dead. Play the egg.
Without me, we're all doomed.
And say go, I suppose. And if I power up the hive, then we can Galvanic Iteration and kill the hive. If they don't kill the dragon first somehow. That would take a 2-mana kill spell and then power up the hive. Which even that doesn't do it, right? Yeah, that doesn't do it. Yep. Confront the past. So that's going to get Soren back. Yeah. No attacks, coward. Negate is not bad. Take 4, gain back 2. I think we just have to say no attacks and try to stay alive as long as possible to try to find, like, Magma Opus. Alright, Oblivion. So we have the option of countering this. And leaving us naked to confront the past. And I think I like it. And hopefully they don't have another one. Is there any value in casting Galvanic Iteration here? I think the answer this time is no. Shatterskull Smashing. So we want to cast something for 5 here. Although, this will hit Soren. Right? Cast this for X equals 5. Kills the token. Get in for 8, 10. They're down to 6. They need to kill us. They can cast Soren, make a lifelinker, we just need to draw a spell and they're dead in that case. Yeah, I'm going to go for the gold. So, if they confront the past, bring back Sorin, I'm pretty sure we've got them. Just need, like, any spell off the top will do it. Any instant or sorcery spell will do it. In fact, even that doesn't do it. They make the lifelinker, we Galvanic Iteration, triggers trigger, kill the token, get in for 8. Playing Hive gets us down to 4, it's not good enough. A board wipe is probably the only hope, like Mitoke Massacre.
You fight for me now.
That's really good too. Okay. So. I will target you. Oh, sure. Got there. Alright. Clumsy game, but the deck is definitely super powerful. There is a lot of this deck on the ladder right now, so I hope if you play this game that you like the mirror. But the reason it's so popular is because this is the other popular deck in the ladder, right? This black-white control stuff, and having this like go over the top strategy with Magma Opus, Hinata, Goldspan Dragon is really tough for these anti-creature decks to deal with. So you have like a 50-50 chance on average against the mirror, obviously, and you have a pretty good matchup against like random tiny creature decks and these black-white control decks as well. So I do feel that this is a strong contender for the right shell to be the best deck in Standard. I'm not sure this is the correct configuration, but I do think that this is definitely a good place to spend your wildcards. So if there's anything else you'd like to see me play in the future, let me know in the comments below. Like and comment as well. Just in general, it helps me know that these videos are being watched and being valued by someone. And that encourages me to keep going. So, yeah, thank you, everyone, and I will see you in the next one. Later.